All right, you're all set to begin.
Thank you, Dave. Before I open the hearing for the Barnstable Conservation Commission, I would like to ask Angela to do a roll call for the quorum purpose.
Thank you, Tom. Tangney, present. Sampu.
Present.
Lee.
Present.
Kashulik.
Present.
DeMello.
Present.
Abadili.
Present.
Bill Hearn is absent tonight. Staff member Kim Kavanaugh.
Kim's muted.
Present.
Thank you. Agent Brady Hill.
Present.
And Administrator Ed Hoops may be joining later. We have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Acting under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and or Chapter 237 of the Code of Town of Barnstable, the Barnstable Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, November the 18th, 2025 at 3 p.m. for the applications of Teresa Carsons, Robert Arnsons, and Mary Cooperman, High Mount Fidelity Fiduciary LLC, Janet Holian's trustee, Holian Family Trust, and Janet Holian Revocable Trust. This hearing is being recorded and broadcast on the Town of Barnstable's Government's Access Channel. The plans and application are on file and may be reviewed by scheduling appointments by sending email requests to @hoops@230 South Street, Hyannis. In accordance with the Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20, please let the chair know if anyone is recording this hearing. Hearing none. This afternoon's hearing agenda is posted on the town's website. On the agenda, next to each application is the amount owed to the Town of Barnstable for the cost of advertisement. Please send your checks to the Conservation Division at 230 South Street before the hearing. Remote participations. The Conservation Commission's public hearing will be held by remote participation as a result of an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed by the Governor on March 28, 2025, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Remote public access to this hearing shall be provided in the following manner. 1. The hearing will be televised by Xfinity Channel 8 or High Definition Channel 1072. It may also be accessed via Town of Barnstable's Government's Access Channel. 2. The real-time public comment can be addressed to the Conservation Commission utilizing the Zoom name 895-6806-3179 or use the toll-free phone number 888-475-4499 as shown on the agenda. Third, the public can also email their comments to edwin.hoops@town.barnstable.ma.us at least 8 hours prior to the hearing. The first item on this agenda is the revised plan AAR Legacy LLC SE3-5905. This is a revised plan for a beach house deck expansions and rinse stations dimensions. John?
Good afternoon, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering Consulting. Also in the meeting room is the applicant, Jenny Epplett Riley, and the home contractor, Carrie Grover. Just to give a moment of background, Jenny's family's been in Barnstable for 50 years. Her and her husband have been in Cotuit for 20 plus. This is a property that they always admired and were able to purchase about 3 years ago now. They went through great lengths to preserve the existing house, which they thought was a piece of Cotuit history, and they also went through great lengths to replace the existing bulkhead, which had been neglected for a long time. It was washing out behind it and kind of continuously dumping sand into the harbor. As a part of that bulkhead project, which is the order we're before you with this revised plan on, I'll bring up my screen. There was a boathouse with a deck attached to it, and after the bulkhead was constructed and the contractor was replacing the boathouse and the deck, they decided to cantilever it across and land it on the bulkhead instead of installing any new sonotubes or something else in the beach. And so that is the revision that we're for, is that this deck was extended out a few additional feet. And I think Carrie would just like to say a couple of words about it to give you a little more understanding, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Gary?
Yeah, hi, Kerry Grover. Again, as John said, I was the builder on this project. I live in Katuitt. I've been working on a lot of the old homes in Katuitt for 40 plus years now. And, in many of those projects involved notices of intent, working over the years with Rob Gatewood and with Fred and Darcy, and have never been on the wrong side of an enforcement question before, but this project was a little more challenging than some because of the slope. If you know it well, there's a pretty severe grade from south to north here along, Cordwood. And I think we were very conscientious over the course of the project to maintain all of our silt fencing and the hay wattles, and in addition to digging some berms and swales over the course of the project, because until all of the drainage systems were in place, it was nerve-wracking there, again, with the public access and all of the shellfish beds that are below. But anyways, once we got everything stabilized there and the bulkhead was in, and we proceeded to rebuild the little beach house on the existing footings, and then started to build the deck. The old deck had just been sitting on cinder blocks, and I didn't want to repeat that, and started looking at what it was going to take to dig some 12-inch sonotubes into that kind of dead beach sand and pour concrete down there. I'm looking a couple feet away. I've got this fabulous footing. So it was, although I think the rationale makes sense, the process may have been faulty, but the decision I had made was to say, let's set it on here. It's going to cantilever over everything, which is be a favorable condition in terms of any kind of wildlife scurrying back and forth underneath it. There's not been anything earmarked for plantings in that area that was then covered. And my thought was that it would probably result in some additional mitigation planting, but that would be received favorably. So,
Thank you, Gary.
You're welcome.
John, do you mind to keep your plans on the screen when we
Yes.
are? Any questions from the commissioner, John?
Yeah. John O'Day, isn't that little by the door there, that's also an addition, right? That little platform right there, that's also in addition, that was not approved?
I think that there had been a rinse station right here before you see the other line. And so instead it was just kind of a rinse station and a step into the door that ended up being this box.
So is that additional square footage there? Just
There would be a
there?
couple of additional square feet for that.
All right.
step as well.
And then a question for you, John. I've been around for many, many years on the commission, and we never, as you know, would have approved a beach house like this today. But under the law, we've grandfathered them and said, okay, fine, if it's falling down, you could rebuild it. You can't expand it. You can't extend it. But you could rebuild it as is, where is. And that's been our position, at least as far as I could ever remember. We have always denied and always would deny, in my experience, any expansion of these that are in the wetland and resource themselves. Now you're coming before us and saying, well, gee, we already did it, so can you now approve it? If we did this, John, what happens if tomorrow somebody else comes in, and decides, well, I'm going to go ahead and build it, and then I'll ask for an approval afterwards, just like this other guy did? How do we say no to that? How do we say no to that? If we allow this because it's an after the fact, it's something that never would have been approved if asked for, an expansion of a beach house, how do we say yes to this? Help me out, John. How do I get around that?
Let me flip back to that photo just to make sure. I hate that button gets in the way. So although this is sand, this is not a coastal beach. We are above a bulkhead, so we are below a bank and we are above a beach. We are in the buffer zone. I don't think that we're in the resource. Just to have that be part of the discussion. So I think that we are talking about a few additional feet of deck. It's not the house structure itself. That was, square foot for square foot, basically right back in its place. We're talking about a couple of extra feet of cantilevered deck in a disturbed area, for which it sounds like they are open to providing additional mitigation for if the commission were open to it.
So if this happened tomorrow, we get another application asking for an expansion of the deck in a beach house. And we'll give you a lot of mitigation. Are you saying that we would be required to say yes because we did say yes today?
I'm not saying that, but I know we had a notice of intent at the hearing last week that was adding 100 square feet in a 50-foot buffer and with mitigation, in disturbed areas, and with mitigation was approved. I think you could consider on case by case of it's a deck, it's cantilevered, it's in a disturbed area.
Well, I have to admit I was not involved in that. Unfortunately, I missed that meeting, but I must say, at least as long as I've been on it, and I think Peter Shampoo goes back close to the same time as I do, would agree that we have always resisted this. And in fact, I know Peter and Bill Hearn at times have argued, why do we even have these? They should all be pulled back. But under the law, they grandfathered, so we allow a rebuild of these things. I just am really struggling how to approve this and say no if it comes up again tomorrow by some other applicant asking for it. Because as you know, all you consultants look to us and say, oh, well, you did this yesterday, so you got to do it for us today. The courts review us on consistency. If we're not consistent, we're arbitrary and capricious. So I'm just having an awful lot of trouble for any kind of an approval going on this one, just because of that consistency argument, John, and the fact that we've not done it. So that's my concern.
Thank you, John. I think for the last couple of hearings, we deal with two beach house rebuilt and proposed expansion. We always turn down the expansions, whether it's going to be the deck or what. And so I think we have to be very careful of what our decision is, on this case, because it will impact in the future filing or in the future. You cannot just go and build and then come back and claim that it's okay. I think it's going to be tough. Pete.
Yeah, I won't reiterate everything that my eloquent fellow commissioner Avadili said. What really bothers me is an after-the-fact request. So I concur with John. Yeah, we don't do this. Thank you.
Angela?
Yeah, I guess I'm concurring with both the other commissioners, and I haven't been around for the history they have. But just in the last few months, we've had to discuss things on a case-by-case issue. But this was an original plan. We're not here with an NOI discussing this extra bit. This is asking for a revised plan. And like Pete just said, I have a problem with that when they come back and ask for more after the original plan was determined to be what we were going to allow. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Jeff and Ron.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah,
the transgression is it just the extra couple square feet of the rinse station, or is it indeed the cantilever portion of the deck that just rests on the surface of the wall?
Both.
Or is it the entire deck between the beach house and the wall?
I think part of the deck is cantilever portion. Part of the deck is,
and the rinse station is slightly larger. It's the enlargement, Jeff, that I would object to, not if they had built it what was there, that we have always grandfathered that. They have a legal right for that. It's when
So
you
the deck,
expand it.
the deck was there to the wall,
Nope.
and then
No.
they
It was short.
was there a deck to the wall?
Short of the
It was short of the wall.
Short of the wall. Okay.
So you could see where the dash line was, where it ended before.
Okay.
And the slight increase in the rinse station, right, John?
There's a couple additional square feet with being able to step into the door.
Okay. Sorry, it was unclear to me if the transgression at the wall was just the small portion on top of the wall, or was it the deck itself? But it's a third of the deck in addition to what's sitting on the wall and the slight rinse station. I got it.
Right. Are we all set with the comment?
I have a couple.
Sure.
John, the elevation of the bulkhead, is it the same as the old bulkhead, or has it changed?
The bulkhead was approved to be raised less than 2 feet, 1'9" or so.
So the new one is 1'9" higher than the old one.
That is correct.
So if you were to rebuild the deck at the existing dimensions, the old deck, it would have been 1.9, 1.3, 1.1 foot lower than the bulkhead?
No.
Somewhere in there, roughly?
The beach house was above the bulkhead to begin with.
What about the deck, though?
And I think the deck was always kind of flush with the beach house floor.
So is the finished floor elevation around 6'3" or so?
Yes.
Okay.
So my question is, the structure was just refinished. It wasn't you guys didn't pour new slabs, didn't do anything like that, right?
It was reconstructed.
With concrete?
The beach house was reconstructed.
So pouring down new footings that far down?
Yes.
Okay.
Just if I could jump in, Tom. Rob, I'm not in any way have objected if they had to raise or lower the elevation of the new deck to be the same footprint as the old deck. That would not, for this commissioner, be an issue. It's expansion of beyond what was there.
The only
Objection.
is, I mean, yes, they went 3 feet more, but I would rather see the deck sitting on the bulkhead as is, as opposed to having to put new footings in. I think that would do more, that would disturb more than having, I'm not going to say it's free floating, but it's kind of floating, just sitting on the bulkhead, as opposed to having to pour concrete footings, which I feel would add more chemicals to the area. That's my opinion. I definitely think if this gets, a yay on it, there should be a substantial amount of plantings, beach grass. But I mean, we're a little ways away from that. But I just wanted to have that clarification and put my opinion in that I would rather see it sitting on the bulkhead than having to drill new footings, because that's pretty sandy. So they would have had to gone down, minimum 4 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet. And what are they going to hit water? So I just think it would always be an issue. This is sitting on pylons now. Again, my opinion.
Right, and that was part of my rationale for how we executed this.
To the builder question, Tom, you've got a lot of experience building, I guess, on these older homes in Katuitt, et cetera. You're kind of a local builder. Why didn't you come back to the commission? You have the plan in front of you. Why didn't you come back and ask for a revised plan?
As I said, I think that the rationale for what we was doing was made sense, and the process probably was faulty. Essentially, I should have come back and asked. It's, I guess, one of those things when you're down there and you've got boards on a sawhorse and nails in hand, and that was how it ended up transpiring.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, let me try this and see how it goes. Could I have a motion to deny this revised plans? It should go back to the previous footprint of the deck and the rinse stations area.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Tangney, aye. Sampu,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Koshulik,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Abadili.
Aye.
That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
So it's a motion to deny this revision.
Correct.
Okay.
May I ask one question? I wanted to let that go through. I understand the deck, the step into the house. The rinse station was approved as 4x4, basically right next to the door. And now it's 3x8. And as we said, this whole bulkhead and everything probably came up a foot, so we needed to step into it. Are you as concerned with the 3x8 versus 4x5 or 4x4 as the deck?
You know, John, just for me, had you come in and asked for it, and if there's a logical reason for it, because now you got the door, you get the rinse station, you're tying them in, that's one thing. And you've got enough experience with this. You know, now you're coming in and saying, yeah, I'm going to expand this thing, and it's an after the fact filing. And I am just absolutely stuck with this consistency issue, and the fact that, you know, you're going to come here tomorrow with another client and say, well, geez, you approved this yesterday, approve it for my guy. How can you justify that, John, given your experience with this? I know it's fairly small, but how do you justify it? How do we handle it as a commission subject to judicial review? I'm really struggling, John. And you know I like to approve these things, but I don't know how to get around it. I'm sorry.
I don't think 8 square feet on 2 acres is a...
It's not the square footage in what the size of the lot. I think it's the expansions that we are concerning with. I think for this kind of thing is we try not to do it, and then I prefer not to discuss on the TV in terms of how we want to proceed with this, because it's going to be difficult to come up with any solutions in a sense that would be acceptable with the commissions. So I just leave it in there for now. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We have 2 warning letters. The first one is Estate of Susan J. Gansey and Brian Gansey, personal representative, 141 Bay Lane, Centerville, map 186, parcel 007, failure to comply with the ongoing condition of a certificate of compliance for SE3-3832. And then let me read the second one, and then I'll go to Brady, go for each one. And then the second one is John T. Gainley and Elizabeth M. Gainley, trustee, and John T. Gainley and Elizabeth M. Gainley, revocable living trust, 251 Bay Lane, Centerville, map 166, parcel 057, failure to comply with the ongoing conditions of a certificate of compliance for SE3-4404. Brady?
Yep. So both of these warning letters were issued for essentially the same kind of violation. These properties had previously approved piers with COCs that had been issued with ongoing conditions that banned motorized craft. I think it had to do with the substrate in Bumps River and the shallowness. So they looked to have motorboats. And so I told them to stop berthing them there.
Thank you. Any questions for Brady?
Brady, did you get a response from the individuals?
I've only received one of the green cards back. I have to follow up with the other one, and but I haven't actually received any phone calls yet. Though it's out of season anyways, so we'll really know if they complied by next summer.
Yeah, I know. This is an issue we as commissioners have long fought. You know, we impose these conditions, they're accepted conditions, and then they're ignored afterwards. And there's valid environmental reasons and legal reasons why we impose those conditions. It's kind of troubling when you see these.
Right. Pete, you want to say something?
Yeah. Again, I'm going to concur with John here. He's getting in front of me all the time here, but
I'll keep quiet, Peter.
no, that's okay, Abbo. You're more eloquent than me with your legal background, and we both are about the same length of time. But again, as John said, the concern is like, what do we do when our certificates of compliance are not followed, especially when it has a likely negative effect on the resources that we are supposed to be protecting? Thank you.
Well, this is the warning letter. So the next step up would be, if this still keep occurring, it would becomes an enforcement order.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe Brady, you contact the harbor master and ask them to make sure you come the spring what's in there, check it out or something.
Right.
Will do.
And then we have 6 enforcement order. The first one is William Luciano's and Teresa Luciano Gallagher, 67C Meadow Circle, Centerville, maps 246, parcels 229, alteration of a 50-foot buffer to a wetland resource area, vegetated wetland by cutting vegetation including 7 trees and a row of shrubs, and failure to comply with the ongoing condition. So 2 certificate of compliance, SE3-2733 and SE3-3901. Brady?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this property is kind of at a dead-end road in Centerville. We have a wetland system just north of the property with some flood zone. And from GIS here, it shows that there's no wetland on the property, or maybe a little stream, but it doesn't show any wetland polygons. But I looked into older plans that we had, and there is a majority of this, what's shown as flood zone here, is actually delineated as wetland according to our previous filings. So it brings most of the violation, which is within this red circle, into the 50-foot buffer. So here are those old plans. You can see the BVW is kind of along that corner. Here's a much older one, shows the edge of the upland here. And everything occurred within this side yard area. So the issue here is we're talking about trees and other woody vegetation being cut down. I got a complaint about it and followed up with it a couple times, was trying to catch whoever was around there. I had actually left a note under a rock at the door at one point. But I was able to get there when the tree guy was doing work, and tell him, there's wetlands here and you got to stop. And I later had a site visit with Bill Luciano and kind of went through what went down on the property. And my sense on site was that there were 7 trees and some shrubs removed. I think there may have been some miscommunication on the actual number of plants that were removed. But as you can see by these photos, there's a number of stumps on the property, and it was very well vegetated before. I don't have any aerial images because it happened pretty recently after the last aerial images came out. So I can't get a good top down, but it was a lot more covered, as you could see right here. And then the COCs, it's a violation of the work limit lines on both of those COCs from the plans that I previously showed. The work limit lines were essentially along the 50-foot buffers, and there was cutting beyond that. I got a note from the homeowners. The trees were removed because they were safety concerns, and health and safety and property damage concerns, which are usually something that would go through our conservation assistant. But because there was no permitting or attempts to communicate with the conservation division, this has gone through enforcement. So in the enforcement order, this is very similar, commissioners, if you remember, we had some trees removed on INO. And this is a very similar enforcement order. I'm asking for tree replacements, and I have accounted for the topography on the second page here. There was some heavy machinery on site that did some damage to the ground and left some tracks. So I wanted to include it in the order that it is restored. The ground is restored to original conditions. I also included this stump management condition just in case any of them start sprouting. I did not see it on site. Didn't see any stump sprouting, but it's possible. And then the main thing being 7 canopy trees and 5 3 to 5 gallon shrubs. The homeowners said that there was only 5 trees and 2 shrubs. So I can't substantiate that. But I feel like this is still an adequate restoration because it was so well vegetated beforehand.
Thank you, Brady. Any question from the commissioner? Pete?
Yeah, Brady, excellent work. And I will ask if the claim being safety concerns, was there any arborist letter or anything that was saying they were diseased or they were starting to fall down? Do we have any evidence that would support that claim of a safety concern, or was it merely a claim made by the owner? Thank you.
The owners might be able to attest to that. I didn't receive anything, but the Lucianos are on if they want to comment if you're all right with that, Tom.
Let's see. I did not see the name. Did you see the name?
Yeah, I'd see them right there.
Yes, it's a Luciano.
Senator Teresa Luciano.
Oh, yes, Teresa. Teresa.
Yeah. Hey, it's Bill and Teresa Luciano. Hey,
hi.
Hey, good afternoon. I think your question was about any of the trees that were diseased or a safety issue. Several of them were leaning and were rotted out. But I do want to just say real quick that we were unaware that removing trees in our property without approval. We didn't realize we needed to do that. It's only our second house that we've ever bought, and that we apologize for being near wetlands, but we didn't even know where they were listed on our purchasing documents. So apologize about that. We're just trying to make sure that we address the safety issues, and there was some structural integrity around our house that was being addressed because the branches were kind of hitting the side of the house, and there was a lot of damage being had and a lot of rot and so forth. And then, one thing that we did want to mention, one of our children did suffer from Bell's palsy, which is Lyme disease, which you probably all know in the past, and we just want to reduce that risk. I know it's a pretty high tick area as well. So, but again, we apologize. We didn't know. We didn't even know we were near a wetland. So I just wanted to say that.
No, thank you. If your branches, if your trees is so close to the house that has a possible damage to the house, if it's come down, you can always contact our office,
Yep.
to ask for, can you remove the tree and stuff like that. So,
Right.
I think it's not just you, it's just a lot of the new homeowner in the Cape, especially in town of Barnstable, they should be aware of this.
Yeah. Brady mentioned that to me when he came by. Again, I had no idea, and we didn't adjust anything on the ground. We had some trees taken down, but the ground was never moved. There was no leveling. There was no removal of anything other than just cutting down trees and a couple of bushes, and it was pretty much overgrown. You couldn't even walk down our pathway. But yeah, we didn't. I don't know what you mean by vegetation, but yeah, just the trees and a couple of bushes. Again, there was no equipment moving anything on the ground. It's still the same. It was all like pine needles, and it's still the same as it was before.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other question from the commissioner? Oh, back to Bill. With this enforcement order, the conditions that Brady was mentioning, are you okay with all this stuff, or you?
We read through it quickly again, and not knowing much about trees and land and so forth. I'm assuming these are smaller trees. Do we know what kind of cost this would be? Because I would probably have to spread it out over a period of time. If this is expensive to do, I don't know. The people that came and did the work on it, they came in for about a half a day. So it wasn't a big job, like we said. It was just to kind of clear out that side of the house. So, do you know, is this plan sounds like you've gone through this before with other people, but we'd have to purchase trees and shrubs and then just plant them with the use of somebody in the area that's approved by you guys? Is that kind of the way it goes?
They could work with Brady on some of those specific questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have specific questions about how to go about it, we can discuss that later. I think Tom's just ensuring that you're aware of all the conditions and you feel like they're fair.
Yeah, fair. I mean, maybe if we could somehow keep it to a reasonable amount of money per year that we have to spend, so I could talk to you about that. I don't know if we could have. I don't know what the cost would be to do all this, but we'd have to just chat with you about that because I don't know what trees cost. Sorry.
Well, talk to Brady afterwards, and and then we can resolve all this stuff. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question from the commissioner? None. Could I have a motion to approve the enforcement order as written?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
DeMello.
Aye.
Koshulik.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
And Tangney. Aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck, Bill and Teresa. The next enforcement order is Kevin T. Rams T. Waller, 3826 Main Street, Route 6A, Barnstable, map 335, parcel 018, alteration of a buffer to a wetland resource area, vegetated wetland by adding unpermitted hardscape gravel driveway. Brady?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All right. So this property, it's right off 6A. It is kind of a little farmy campus on a wetland here. It's got a barn on the east side and the residence on the west. And there's this, what used to kind of just be a garbage area on the property. I have photos of it later, but it was kind of just a bunch of junk on a grassy area. It's all within the buffer to this wetland system up here. And the main point of interest here is this driveway, which was formerly not any driveway, and it was that junk area, and became a gravel driveway. The rest of the driveway had been dirt before. So here is a plan I was able to find. This one shows that this general area where the driveway was put in is mostly in the 50 to 100 foot buffer, or a little bit outside of the buffer. It was hard to get a sense of it on site. The points where the buffer is kind of ambiguous. There's supposed to be a benchmark nail in there from the last delineation, but we weren't able to find it. So it was kind of a challenge to determine exactly where it is, but I do believe most of it's in jurisdiction. Here are the old photos. You can see all this junk. There's some sort of trap, I believe, like a shellfishing thing. They removed it all. this again, all likely in the buffer. And then these are my photos from last month that showed the gravel drive and this fenced in area as well, which is still pervious grass inside the fence. So it's really just a fence that they put in. The enforcement order here, just a cease and desist as always. I'm asking them to do after the fact permitting, but I'm asking them to do an updated wetland delineation before that because it is a little bit ambiguous, just to get a sense of where near the resource area it was affected by putting in the driveway. But yeah, after the fact RDA is the main thing by March 17th, 2026. And I'll take questions. Also, I believe Kevin is here, Kevin Warner.
I'm here.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Brady. Kevin, do you understand what Brady under the enforcement is asking you for?
I do.
Are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay. Any question from the commissioner? Seeing none? Could I have a motion to approve this enforcement order as written?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Koshulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Sampu,
Aye.
and Tangney. Aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck, Kevin. Thank you for working with Brady.
Thank you.
The next enforcement order is Michael Martins, 27 Folsom Avenue, Hyannis map 324, parcel 059, alteration of a wetland resource area, flood zone, and an alteration of a buffer to a wetland resource area, salt marsh, by adding unpermitted hardscape, deck expansions, driveway expansions, and stone wall. Brady?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this property, we're talking in Hyannis near the marshes in the southeast area. Whole areas in flood zone. Literally, the whole property is in flood zone. Part of it is salt marsh. The rest of the property is in the buffer to the salt marsh. I pulled this picture from 2021 that shows kind of the existing conditions before any work, and progressively there's some additions made. Some things just replaced in footprint. There's a smaller wall here that was replaced in footprint, but this driveway expansion to the gravel drive and the larger retaining wall that was put on the side of that new driveway expansion, that is new and in flood zone and buffer. And then this deck, I know it's hard to see, but it's enlarged slightly. And that's probably within 15 feet of the marsh. So here's some of my site photos. Again, this is that retaining wall and flood zone and buffer, and you could see part of that driveway bump out here. And then this is the new part of the deck. There's that little slice in the deck where the old deck and the new deck meet. So this is, again, a cease and desist. And then I'm asking for this one, because the deck is very close, I thought NOI would be best. So I'm asking them to retroactively file an NOI by March 22nd, 2026, to attempt to permit the added hardscape. Of course, there's no guarantee that that's approved, but it's the route I'm asking them to go. I'll take some questions. Oh, Michael Martin is on as well.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Mike. You understand what Brady under the enforcement is asking you to do?
If you could explain it, I'm willing to comply. I'm going to comply. I'm a compliant individual. I'm a retired Major General in the Marine Corps. So this is a rental property my wife and I have owned down on Folsom Ave since 2011. It was damaged in Tropical Storm Esla, which motivated us to then just do some updating to the roof, the siding, the windows, and pull out the asphalt driveway, which I was told would enhance the conservation because it's returning it to something a little bit more natural. I am not a conservation guru. I don't understand this stuff. mea culpa. I'm embarrassed to be here right now. So, please tell me what I have to do to be compliant, and I am willing to make it happen. I can remediate. I'll do whatever it takes to be on the right side of the law. Thank you.
So, Mike, let me explain a little bit. It's like, okay, basically Brady is asking you, to stop doing any activity or build out anything in your parcel, and if you can either remove it, the hardscape, or you can file an NOI to get permissions to keep the existing hardscape that unpermitted. That's what he's asking you to do. So
okay, yeah.
I think it's easy to go and apply for the NOI to get it approved, because this is a flood zone only, so we can deal with it. So
okay, I will. I'll coordinate with Brady to find out what the process is for the NOI, and I will make it happen ASAP.
Thank you. Any question from the commissioner? Pete?
Yeah, well, I'm not doing any prejudging here, but I will mention that we take each site with specifics and individual assessment, that the earlier ruling that we had about expansion with an after the fact had to do with it being in the buffer there. And so there is a word of caution, I suspect, if we were going to stay consistent with respect to the expansion of the deck. I think that the shift from asphalt to stone is something that does have environmental benefits. But again, I will wait until I see an NOI if that's the route that they're going. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. So, Mike, I just want to expand a little bit. Is that we're asking you to go and file the NOI is not a guarantee that you'll get the approval, but it would be a way to minimize the removal of the hardscape at this point and see what your option is in terms of if the commission would approve some of that feature in the hardscape wise or not.
I completely understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question from the commissioner? No. Could I have a motion to approve the enforcement order as written?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
DeMello.
Aye.
Koshulik.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Sampu.
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck, Mike.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
And thank you for your service.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure most of the time. Semper Fi.
Yes. So for the next two enforcement order, they are on the same address. So I'm going to read them both into the record, and then Brady is going to talk about it at the same time. But we are going to take two separate votes on each of the enforcement order. The next one, the first one is the Damon Muncie's 50s skating rink road, Hyannis map 291, parcel 176, alteration of a wetland resource area, vegetated wetland, and alterations of a buffer to a wetland resource area, vegetated wetland, by adding fields, cutting vegetations, and adding unpermitted hardscapes, fence, gravel drive, and shed for a parking lot and work area. The next one is Theo Abeno, 50 skating rink road, Hyannis map 291, parcel 176, alteration of a wetland resource area, vegetated wetland, and alterations of a buffer to a wetland resource area, vegetated wetland, by adding fields, cutting vegetations, and adding unpermitted hardscape, fence, gravel drive, and shed for a parking lot and work area. Brady?
Thank you,
Hold
Mr.
a
Chair.
second. Can I ask a question, please, first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I sort of don't understand why we have sort of two different names for the same property and the same enforcement order. Just clarification on that before we go forward. Thank you.
Just a quick housekeeping thing. The violator, well, technically the owner of the property was a violator, and the person who actually did the work also.
Oh, yeah, that makes good sense. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Who was, well, I'll get into it. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
But,
Sorry.
Okay, so the focus of this is 50 Skating Rink Road. This is a property kind of tucked in between two dead ends. And so the house is on this far west side, but a lot of the property can mostly be accessed from the east side. And this right of way is also completely unused. So I would keep an eye on the right of way as I scroll through some images. So here are aerial photos. I'm going to go through it relatively slowly just so everybody can see it. But here's a photo from 2018 before any work was done, to my knowledge. And we're looking at the position of a vegetated wetland. Again, that purple right here. It's amidst all these trees between the right of way and the house. And so by 2020, there was some action going on in this sandy area. And then in 2021, it has begun to expand. And you'll see this is in the right of way and on 50 Skating Rink, access from the east side. Now in 2022, there's a bunch of vehicles here and fences have gone up. It's still a dirt on the bottom, but we're starting to get, further into this wooded area. Then it expands again in 2024. These fences are bumped out a little bit. There's clearly some trees that have been cut, some temporary structures on the southwest side. And then in 2025, we're seeing it's greatly increased here. More temporary structures, more vehicles, more trees cut. And we're really deep in the wooded area there, which again is a wetland itself. So, and again, completely on 50 Skating Rink or their side of the right of way. Here's some old plans just to show the delineation of that wetland. This is essentially showing what's on the GIS, but this is the property to the north of it on County Seat Road, and it shows again that there's a wetland here. This isn't one that appears on the DEP wetlands GIS, so it's kind of hard to see and it's small, but it is jurisdictional. So here's some site photos that I took just by driving by. You could see the fences that went up and where that depression is that leads to the wetland. It's kind of like a gate thing here. And beyond that is the work area. That's the subject of the enforcement order. Here's inside when I visited after meeting with Damien and his brother, and Taylor's also arrived at that point, and we saw the area. So work vehicles all over here. We could see that gravel now more clearly. The temporary structures in the back, clearly a bunch of suppressed vegetation. There's also, I'm not sure if you could see here, but there were a couple small stumps that you could still see. And then here is the side facing the wetland. So this overflow of wood chips is going towards the wetland there. The fences are breaking down a little bit. Obviously some logs from tree removal. And I know it's hard to see on this bottom photo, but down there is part of the wetland, to my knowledge, where kind of things this work area is slowly spilling into. Yes, so this is important to note that the work, though the property is owned by Damien Moniz, the work was done by Taylor's Albino, admitted by him on site. He explained that he had added a couple inches of fill and a bunch of wood chips so that he could use it as a work area for his business. Didn't know there were wetlands there. but he has cut lots of vegetation and continued to manage the vegetation so that the area can still be used. And he also installed the gravel parking lot or drive area and all the temporary structures and fences. So this is a big one, a big enforcement order. I'm asking for a SERP to get involved. I think it's necessary for the filling of this wetland, which I will say is not completely filled, but a large portion of the southeast corner of it has been. I'm asking for all the fill to be removed and all the hardscape to be removed by the end of the growing season next year, and a professional restoration plan done by that SERP by May. I'd like an on-site meeting with all those involved. 3 years of annual reports by a SERP. Of course, retaining any plants that fail, prohibiting any further pruning or clearing, also removing any previously cut material from the area. And then a lot of the rest is the standard conditions we put on there for limiting mulch and irrigation consultation, stuff like that. So I believe that's it. So these are the conditions for Damian Moniz's enforcement order as the homeowner. So he is the one obligated to do that because it is it's his land, and so I'm asking him to do the restoration. We'll do essentially the other enforcement order, which is to Taylor's, was just asking him to cease work and to show up to this meeting so that it's all wrapped into one. But I can't ask him to do it because I have been told that's not how I can do it, unfortunately, because I just can't ask him to do work on somebody else's land, and even though he did it. So,
right, the enforcement go with the land.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we always have to go after homeowners for the most part. So, Taylor's is here, and Damian Moniz is here. I'm sure they're willing to take questions. They might have something to say as well, but I will take plenty of questions.
So one thing I just want to point out, under this enforcement order, there is one item there: submit 9 copies of the professional restoration plan.
Mm-hmm.
In there, the plan would including the property line or the jurisdictional area. For the edge of the wetland, coastal bank, and flood zone. All that information should be on that plan with the 50 and 100-foot buffer. So that would be clearly identified where the locations are in terms of the hardscape addition and then restoration area.
Mm-hmm.
So, any questions from the commissioner first?
I would be anxious to hear from the 2 individuals involved, Tom, myself.
Okay, Damian and Thaddeus.
Yes, I'm here. May I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. I would like to say first and foremost, my sincerely apologies and all this. So that whole thing is I live with my mother. Okay. Since she purchased her home in 39 Skating Rink Road. So there is a wooded area there where I was not aware that it was wetland because we never seen water in there. In my experience, wetland, it would be near a lake, pond, or ocean. But Brady Hill did educate me on that once we met at the location. And I want to let everybody know in the commission here that Damian has no fault in this whatsoever. He didn't even know what was going on the other side because it's all woodland. You can't really see in the other side. So I'm to take all the fault of this. Please, if you guys can just not blame Damian for any of this, even though it is his property, which I was not aware of. This was done back in around 2020 or so. I used to be an aircraft mechanic down at JetBlue. I got let go because of COVID, and I had to find a means to provide for my family. I have a wife, I have a son. My wife is pregnant again. I still live with my parents. In this, in this age, day of age, it's just been tough to afford living itself. So I was forced to, open up a landscape company. and provide and help my parents out with the bills and trying to leave. I've been trying to leave my mom's house, but it's just been so tough to afford to live. And so I needed a place to park my trucks, and I ended up clearing an area there. I cut down probably like 3 or 4 trees, if I can remember. The stumps are still there. I'm not sure if we walked around and saw the stumps, Brady, but and there was vegetation I cut down, and I put down some hardscape, which is gravel, so my trucks didn't get stuck there. And that's the truth. I'm being totally honest with you guys, and all I ask is, for some leniency. It's part of my English. It's just leniency towards my case here. I was totally unaware. I used to fix planes for a living, and then I had to change my whole career around because of what happened back in 2019, 2020 with the COVID and everything. I'm not asking you guys just to let go, but please just, I don't have any money. And I still live with my mom. And if it's meant to be to pay to do whatever, I'll, if there's a way of financing it and breaking it down, I'll pay for it. Definitely, because I'm at fault for it. It's just, it's God's will. You guys do what you guys think is right, and what it is right, and like I said, I just ask for some leniency towards my case, and just don't blame Damien for it. It's not his fault at all. He has no fault to it. And I pretty much trespassed his property, not knowing what I was doing at the time. It was just so much going on at the time. I just, I wasn't thinking straight. So, yeah.
Thank you. Like we mentioned before, because we have to write the enforcement order against the lands. That's why it's go to the homeowner. You may want to chip in and helping him to do some of this enforcement stuff.
I will do all of it.
Yeah.
I will do all of it. If I have to go down there and shovel out everything by hand, I'll do so. It's just, like I said, it's just not fair for Damien for him to go through all this, where I'm at fault. I'm the one that did it. It's like, imagine if somebody trespassed your property and did everything, and then you have to do it. It wouldn't be fair, right? So I'm asking, just put it all on me.
Yep.
Whatever needs to be done, just,
Well, thank you for admitting that. But like we said, the enforcement go with the land, and then you can try to help the owner to deal with these issues. John?
Damien, any comment from you first before I make some comments? Is Damien here? Damien, you gotta unmute.
I did not see Damien. Oh, yes. Yes, Damien. Unmute yourself, Damien.
Looks like he's trying to. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think he can.
Yeah, if you click on the bottom of the screen, there should be a mic on your left hand. It should pop up a tool area. I know I'm new at this myself.
No, we cannot do that.
Yeah, he's unable to unmute.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me just make a comment. Mr. Albino, I understand where you're coming from. You got an issue here where you did, in fact, trespass on somebody else's property. You did, quote, illegal cutting and in a wetland resource area. Chairman's right. We write these enforcement orders because they run against the property owner. So I appreciate the fact that you're taking the responsibility for it. Brady, I'm struggling here a little bit as a person. I understand where Mr. Albino is coming from. I have great empathy for what he said. Requiring a certified ecological restoration practitioner is this could be a very expensive thing, but it is the right thing to do from where you're coming from. I guess I'm struggling. Is there something else that can be done to get the area restored that might be a little less than a requirement for this certified ecological restoration practitioner? Just a question. If there isn't, I understand where you're going, Brady, and I support it.
I mean, just the fact of the matter is that that's kind of the standard. If it's as egregious as something like this is, where we're talking about fill in a wetland, and so I don't know if I would want to see somebody who's not as experienced as a SERP doing that kind of work to restore a wetland itself. And again, some of this has been in for a while, so I do worry about how much work needs to go in, and I don't know if anybody can do that.
Yeah, I really appreciate where you're coming from, Mitty. I understand. Thank you.
Yeah, I am very empathetic to the case before us here as well. And Mr. Albino, I will say it's refreshing to see that level of honesty within our citizenry for mistakes they have done. But I feel for the fact that having a certified restoration plan here is not a financially doable situation for this young family. So again, we're on a site-specific basis. Yes, there has been significant change to this wetland, but I would like to find a path that's going to be easier for Mr. Albino and Mr. Moniz. So can we please, as a commission, think about how we can get this to work? Thank you.
Peter, that's kind of, I'm sorry, Tom, I'm jumping in here, but because I think Peter and I were coming from the same position, but Peter, I think all we could do is turn to Brady and say, listen, if they can come up with an alternative that's a little less than this, that is acceptable to the staff. I think, we give Brady the authority, the responsibility to make these. He did it absolutely correctly. But I think Peter and I would say, Brady, if you can come up with an acceptable alternative acceptable to you, then I think the commission, or at least two commissioners, would agree to support that, if you can come up with that option.
Yeah,
right,
I'm right with you there, John, on that.
Thank you.
Yes, Tom.
Thank you, John.
Yeah,
Jeff?
Tom Jeffrey. Yeah, this is a monster matter, folks. And Peter, you're 100% correct. There should be something a little softer here under the circumstances, and not that this is applicable, but sad. I just read last night that there's going to be a massive shortage in airline mechanics by 2030. So not that has anything to do with this conversation and your former JetBlue job, but anyways, I'm also not a fan of kicking stuff down the road, but I believe this is such an involved infraction right here that we should all, take a couple of weeks and think about helping Brady identify what's something that's realistic underneath the circumstances right here. I don't believe this is something that Brady can do by himself, and I don't believe it's something that we could all come up with a firm plan in 5 or 10 minutes tonight to issue a specific enforcement order.
Thank you, Jeff. Angela?
Yeah, I was curious as if we can leave it to the discretion of the staff, Brady, Ed, and the staff to negotiate this further, that when we vote on this, but that they have the ability to make changes. How does that work?
And I'm thinking about that way too, so that, I know Ed is on vacations right now, and I think he should have a chime in and see whether there's any options. And I don't think we have to vote tonight, this afternoon for this, and then or we can vote it and then to give them the authority to make some changes to the.
That's what I'm leaning towards. Why would we kick this down the road? Why can't we kick it back and give them the authority to make changes? I think that's what I'm hearing from the other commissioners.
Right.
Nah, not myself, Angelo. This is a monster infraction here.
And you want to have some say in it. Okay, I got it.
That's my 2 cents.
John?
I kind of agree with Angela and Jeff a little bit. I think one option we could do is to modify this slightly that says enforcement order by certified ecological practitioner unless otherwise approved by staff. And if you added those words, that would put it back on Ed and Brady, who have a pretty good degree of expertise with these things and have the resources to modify it, and without it having to come back to us. Jeff, if you felt strongly that you really, really want to get involved with this thing, then I respect that wishes too. So I think either one of those options is acceptable. Personally, I would let the staff do it because I don't think I don't have the expertise. Maybe you and Rob do, but I sure do.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
I mean, I feel for him in my industry. He's a landscape contractor. So a couple lessons should be learned for this. And I think with the guidance of us as a staff and showing him, if this is possible, I don't even know if this is possible, but can we put something together for him to take the steps to bring back everything to the way it was over time? I mean, this is that's a lot to do there. And I feel for him. But can we put something together almost like a guide? Because he's struggling. He has a young family. I mean, yes, I know there's certain rules we have to follow, but there's also compassion for humanity. I think we should be able to reach out and help him and say, hey, you have to do this and this. You have 2 months to do it. Get it done. I mean, that's his industry. I don't know. I know if I was in his shoes and I did what he did for a living, which I do, I would take care of it myself, if possible, with the guidance of what plants should I use, what should I do here, what should I do there. I mean, I just, I don't know. I feel for him, and it's a tough situation.
Question, Rob, is who has the ability to do that? Like to you and Jeff, I mean, you kind of have backgrounds in this. Are you willing to help out?
Can I help him?
No, I couldn't help him.
I guarantee I can go there and help him do it. Tell him what he needs to do. But am I allowed to? That's the question I have. Can I do it?
No, I don't think you should do it. The only thing I'm saying is that the only thing the commissioner should do is, if you have the expertise and so forth, to provide some of your comments to the staff to modify the enforcement order to make his life a little bit easier to deal with the enforcement item stuff that he need to do. And I think we are open to that. That's what I'm hearing from different commissioners in terms of consent.
Exactly, Tom. I think that because we as commissioners play these dual roles, but I think of Robert, Jeff having their backgrounds that the others of us don't have. If they wanted to make suggestions to Brady to help the situation along the lines we're talking about, I think that is absolutely a great thing to do, working through the staff.
Right.
And again, we could approve this by simply modifying this slightly by saying, instead of certified, prepared by, or other options as approved by staff, that would cover that.
Right. So let me do this. Could I have let me try this and see what happens. And could I have a motion to approve this enforcement order subject with the changes of the plans? The enforcement order response plan should be prepared by a certified ecological restoration practitioner, or
other alternatives approved by staff,
or any other or other alternatives approved by the staff.
I would make that motion then.
And I would second it.
So this is for both the Damon and There's Albino's enforcement order.
No, I think the second one was different, right, Brady?
Yeah, this would just be for the Damien enforcement order for the homeowner.
Right.
So this is for the homeowner. We
Yeah.
leave the language the same.
I think I'm able to speak now. Correct me if
Oh.
I'm wrong, folks.
Oh, sorry,
There's Damien.
Damien, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, I'm on.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to understand what's going on. I kind of dropped out for a little bit there. My settings were broken. My settings were turned off on my phone, so I wound up dropping the call and coming back on. I just want to see if I can understand what's going on. So we're going to be rather than having all the SARP and everything, we're going to discuss this with them in a meeting with Brady and the town, and they're going to tell us what we need to do to straighten this out and then go about it. Am I understanding you correctly?
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything else that I should know that I've missed so far here? Or
No, that's the major point of the discussions. Is the third ecological restoration practitioner or other means as approved by the staff.
okay.
For instance, the timeline could be modified. That'd be something you discuss with the staff, correct?
Yeah.
With this board?
The staff.
With me, yeah.
With Brady. Okay. I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row here. I'm sorry. I'm asking a lot of questions. I've never dealt with anything like this before, obviously, so I'm just kind of trying to figure it all out here.
And I assume, sir, you heard too that Somali took full responsibility for this.
I did hear that. Yes, thank you. Yes, I did, and I appreciate you folks being as accommodating as you have been so far. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Are you all set?
I believe so.
Okay. So I make the motions, and someone second it, right?
Angela seconded.
And this is for just Damian Monize's enforcement order. Yes.
Correct.
Correct.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Kashulik.
Nay.
Was that a nay? No.
Nay. No. Yeah.
Thank you. Lee,
Aye.
Sampu still here? I know he had to go. And Tangney, aye. That's 4 ayes and 1 nay.
So on the things, Albinos, could I have a motion approve the same enforcement order or modify?
Oh yes, sorry, Tom. I just added a note here that I may ticket because I was not able to do the enforcement order to Taylor's.
Okay.
So that would be on the December meeting if I do that.
Okay. So could I have a motion to approve the enforcement order as modified for Thayers Albino?
Brady, how do we do that enforcement? How do we issue that enforcement order against somebody who owns the property?
So this enforcement order is just telling him to cease any work, and that's it. Yeah,
Right.
That's all we can tell him to do.
That's all we can do with this.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And that's why I was pursuing ticketing. So I just full transparency, I have yet to do a ticket, and I'm waiting for Ed to show me how to do it. So
Got it.
Motion to approve this enforcement order, though. Get that.
Second on this one.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello. Did I hear an aye?
Rob?
I think he said aye, didn't he?
I think
Somebody
so.
said aye.
Sound like it cut out. Kashulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The last enforcement order is Julian and Gillian Cox, 1251 Race Lane, Marston's Mill, map 064, parcel 005-001, alteration of a buffer to a wetlands resource area, Mystic Lake, by regrading and adding unpermitted hardscape retaining walls and failure to comply with the ongoing conditions of a certificate of compliance for SE 3-33X6. Brady?
Oh, sorry, I got a quick question. So do we need to be in a hearing any longer? Me and Damien?
No.
Or okay.
You all set?
Yeah, thank you so much, you guys. God bless you guys, and thank you for all the patience and everything. Okay.
Good luck.
All right. Should I be receiving a letter for the next time or the next hearing or anything?
No, you're done with the hearing.
Yeah, you'll receive an amended enforcement order from me, and then we'll be in touch.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Take care, guys.
Okay, thank you. Brady?
All right. Last enforcement order. So this is a property on Mystic Lake in the Marston's Mills, West Barnstable area, right there on Race Lane. It's a little corner lot here, and there's a little bit of BVW along the edge of the lake here. It's not shown, but I believe we have it on a later plan. So the work that went on here, we're talking about a retaining wall. What I got from the homeowner, or one of the homeowners, Julian, when I met with him on site, is that a large tree had fallen on an area that was already relatively steep in the backyard, and it caused some serious vegetative die-off in that area, and he had removed what was dead, because I believe it had begun to erode, and so he tried removing it and putting down new hydroseed or some sort of alternative, and it continued to erode. So recently there was a retaining wall put in place, and it has mostly stopped eroding. Now the retaining wall is planted with ornamental roses, I believe. Here's the retaining wall on site. These right and middle photos are me standing on top of the area. This would have just been a steep vegetated slope beforehand. Now the retaining wall is in its place after all the erosion events. Yeah, it's a two-tiered wall. I don't know, it must be like the bottom tier is probably like 4 feet tall, maybe, and the top like half that, 3/4 that. And here's the old plan. Of course, I said there was a violation of the ongoing conditions of the COC, that being the work limit line. And so we have a work limit kind of along the edge of the house for this filing. And the retaining wall was done about here, I believe, which would be beyond the work limit line. So that is also part of the enforcement order. And there is the condition itself that was violated. As it says here, the restriction shall continue over time, and that includes today. So the enforcement order is a cease and desist, as always, and I'm asking you to file an after-the-fact RDA for the retaining wall. I thought it fitting because there was an attempt to fix this with vegetative means only, and it didn't work. But it's still hardscape and needs permitting. It's up to you. I'd really just want to give it back to you all if that's something you're willing to approve through an RDO. So I believe Julian is on.
Yeah, Julian is here.
Yeah. So I'll take questions.
Any question from the commissioner for Brady? Let me go to Julian. Julian, do you understand what Brady's enforcement order is?
Yes, I do. And I'll be honest, I was just trying to stop the soil or the ground moving. It was because the soil is so sandy on this steep embankment, it was just deteriorating. And I did this very quickly back in, I think it was February this year, just to stop the ground deteriorating anymore. So I apologize. I didn't even think about you guys, and I apologize. I benefit of hindsight, I should have done, but I didn't, and totally my fault.
That's okay. I mean, we always learn something, especially when it comes into the conservation, because you're living right next to the Mystic Lake. Any question from the commissioner? None. Could I have a motion to approve the enforcement order as written?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Kosciulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and Tangney. Aye, that's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Commission. Thank you.
We have one RDA this afternoon. Is Teresa Carson's to remove an existing shed and asphalt tennis court and construct a single-family dwelling at 101 Bay Shore Road, Hyannis, as shown on Assessors Map 325, Parcel 113. Rob?
Yes, Rob Brayman from Brayman Survey and Associates, and I believe Teresa is on also.
Rob, is this flood zone only?
Yes.
Flood zone only, yes. No
Okay.
other resource areas,
Okay.
not subject to any other resource areas.
Thank you.
And I consulted with that on this prior.
Yeah.
So it's proposed to remove an existing 2,514 square foot paved tennis court and shed, and to construct a 1,020 square.
Rob, can you share the plan? Or can staff share the plan?
He just froze.
Yeah, Brady. Yeah, Rob.
I can pull it up if you don't have it, Robert.
He's frozen.
Yeah, you may want to bring it up, Brady.
Let me find it real quick. I got to reopen Laserfish. Did Ed not arrive yet? That's unfortunate.
No, Rob is frozen on the screen.
If he doesn't come back, Tom, maybe we have to go table it and come back to it or something. If he can't come back.
Hi, this is Teresa Carson. Is there a way I can call him and ask him to redial in?
Yeah, please.
Okay. If you don't mind giving me a second, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brady.
Can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
I'm going to spin it.
Thank you for your patience. I'm calling him now.
Okay.
Hello.
Hey, Rob.
I apologize for that. My computer just went blank. I had to restart.
No, that's okay. So, Brady, bring the plan up on the screen right now.
Yes.
So go ahead.
Okay, so the project is as I mentioned, to remove the paved tennis court and to construct a house with a crushed stone driveway. The project is located in flood zone AE12 and is not subject to any other wetland resource areas. The proposed house consists of a drive under garage with living space above, and will be constructed in accordance, of course, with FEMA regulations, and there is no fill proposed on the project. So basically, that's it.
Thank you.
Any
question from the commissioner? This project is in the flood zone only. None? Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
Don't believe so, but if anyone is here for public comment, now is your time to speak. Seeing none.
None. Could I have a motion to approve this project as a negative determination?
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Kosciulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and Tangney. Aye, that's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. One thing I just want to mention before I start the NOI sections is when we have a continuance from any hearing under the NOI, we need to have a continuance access forms. That's form WC still need to be submitted to the office. So I just want to make sure that is what's happening. So we have 3 NOIs this afternoon. The first one is Robert Arson and Mary Kupperman. Proposed rinse stations, fire pits, pergola, expansion of existing stone terrace and 4-foot wide path to Long Pond at 71 Sachem Drive, Centerville, as shown on the Assessors Map 209, Parcel 206. Brett?
Good evening, Commission. This is Cameron Larson with ECR representing the applicant. I'd be happy to present the application as soon as you're ready.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, excellent. Also with me here next to me is Bill Cawley with Cawley Site Services, who drafted the plan. I believe also on the call is Elaine Johnson and Tim Acton, part of the design team and contractor for the proposed project. So as mentioned, this is 71 Sachem Drive. It's a residential property. There's an existing single-family home. Why don't I go ahead and share the screen as I'm explaining this here? I can bring up the site plan.
Yes, please.
All right. So it's top of the page is north, bottom of the page is south. Here centered is the existing home. The site itself sits on the north shore of Long Pond. ECR delineated the inland bank of that pond, as well as a small bordering vegetated wetland, sort of a fringe wetland to the pond just landward of that bank. So the project itself is within the 100-foot buffer zone to that bordering vegetated wetland. That 50-foot buffer zone is shown by a dashed line that kind of heads down and then up around here. I do have an exhibit I can pull up that shows that highlighted. I'll do that in a minute here. But just so the Commission's aware, this is a buffer zone only project, and all the proposed work is located landward of the 50-foot buffer zone, with the exception of a small pathway and some mitigation plantings. So the proposal in front of the Commission tonight is all focused here to the rear of the home. I'm going to switch over here to show you some photographs of the site here. These 2 photographs centered on your screen right now show the rear of the home. There's an existing stone patio in that area. It's all lawn. There's some landscaped areas. Going down to the pond to the rear of the home is a steep slope. It's partially vegetated. There is some mature trees. They were all located and shown on the site plan, but you can kind of see the sparsity of vegetation in the understory in that herbaceous layer. So this site did provide an opportunity for some mitigation within there that we have proposed, which I will explain further here. But again, here's the existing patio to the rear of the home, and this is where all of our work is proposed. So what we're proposing, let me see if I can zoom in here just a hair. Within that area of the existing patio to the rear of the home, we're proposing a new terrace there with a retaining wall. There'll be a sunroom located off the rear of the home, and then some hardscape patios on the west side here, as well as a fire pit and a small rinse station off the side of the home. So again, it's all within this developed portion of the property. We looked at the existing versus the proposed hardscape and structure there. There is an increase. The total increase in area is 870 square feet. So to comply with Barnstable's regulations for work within that 50 to 100-foot zone, we are proposing mitigation at a 3-to-1 ratio, actually slightly more. A 3-to-1 would be 2,610 feet. We're proposing 2,640 square feet of mitigation, which is all focused between the pond itself and the work area. I'm going to just switch over here to another plan, our mitigation plan. Let's see here. Okay. What you should be seeing now here is this mitigation plan. This was designed by Elaine Johnson, who's here and can certainly answer any questions about this. As you saw in the photos, this slope down to the pond is very much sparsely vegetated. There is some mature tree canopy, but there was a lot of opportunity here for us to kind of fill in the understory. So we have a variety of native plant species that'll all be hand planted within that area. We are proposing to maintain a grass pathway here, kind of traverses that slope side to side, and then down here to the pond itself. There is an existing fire pit in this area that's going to be removed, as well as a kayak rack down here along the pond, which will also be removed as part of this project.
It has been removed.
In addition to the planting mitigation work, some additional mitigation is included, which includes a dry well. So all the stormwater that's collected on the terrace will be channeled to a gravel strip, kind of a French drain kind of thing, and then channeled to a dry well to handle any of that stormwater off of the new terrace there. Of course, erosion controls will be utilized during the proposed project. Those will be maintained until the entire site is stabilized. And that basically summarizes the project that we have in front of the commission tonight. Again, myself and the rest of the team are here on the call and be happy to address any questions that the commission may have.
Cameron, just a couple of things I just want to clarify. You mentioned about the erosion control. Can I assume that erosion control will be on the work limit line?
Yeah, so that's within the 50-foot buffer that, and it is along the work limit that's shown. We've shown a second work limit along the edge of the pond as well, where we'll install a second erosion control for the planting work. I don't expect too much of an issue with erosion during that point, but better to be safe than sorry.
Okay. And then I also see an existing fence limit right outside of your, on the outside edge of the work limit line. So that kind of like putting the limit in terms of the, I call it mitigations area. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you. Angela?
Yeah, I just want to say I walked the property and the resource area is nicely vegetated and you can tell the homeowner does a nice job of keeping it that way. My question was about the path, but you answered that, keeping it a grass the way it is. So I have no problems with this moving forward. Thank you.
And then there's also a label on the grass path as a 4 foot wide. That's our typical width of the path. Any other questions from the commissioner? None? Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
I don't actually, no, not on this one. Or I didn't hear about any, but if you are here for public comment, now is your time to speak. Seeing none.
None? Could I have a motion to approve this project with an annual report for 3 years?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Tangney, aye. Lee?
Aye.
Kashulik?
Aye.
DeMello?
Aye.
Abadili?
Aye.
That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck, Cameron.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Commission.
Yep. The next one is High Mount Fiduciary LLC to replace and extend the existing bulkhead at 180 Carriage Road, Osterville, as shown on Assessors Map 071, Parcel 015. John.
Good evening, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering and Consulting, representing the applicant. As was stated, this project's located at 180 Carriage Road. This is about a 1.6 acre parcel abutting West Bay. A portion of the bottom of the coastal bank is protected by a bulkhead, which has had some previously permitted repairs under 2 past orders with this commission. And through the pictures or if you saw the site, you can see that it's in need of additional work. It is washing out through and behind it. So our project as proposed is to replace that bulkhead. We will be raising it about 1 foot. We'll also be pulling it landward about 4 feet. At the grade of the bank and the beach there, this will be about still about a 2 foot high wall. We are proposing to extend it a little bit to the south. This is actually the steepest portion of the bank. And we are proposing to extend it a little bit to the north to get it kind of within the better protection of the salt marsh. But we are not going sideline to sideline. This is a house from 1950s. So we are, to have certain rights of protection towards a pre-1978 house. This work we can establish a limit of work well above the salt marsh. We would just need a landing spot that we understand could be coordinated with the Natural Resources Department. I think with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, John. Any questions from the commissioner? John? John.
Yeah. John or Dan, obviously pulling it landward is something that we appreciate. The question is, the old wall will be pulled out and disposed of in an upland area, and then what do you do between the old wall and the new wall? What's going to happen to that?
So the idea is that sort of the toe of the existing bank, especially up on the northern side, that land, would remain, and it would kind of continue to serve as a natural buffer along that bank. But this bulkhead would be there to protect the upper portions. Over 20 years, is it, going to disappear and just be the exposed 2 feet of bulkhead? Probably, but the idea was to kind of maintain that existing grade on site and that the little bit of slope in front of it. And the other thing that pulling this landward a little bit does is that we don't want to be having to bring in material to backfill behind a wall if we were to build it like along the very toe of the bank. Because again, we're bringing stuff in with a small little workboat. So, we're really trying to just work with the material that's on the site today.
Is that old wall being pulled out?
The old wall will be pulled out, and that will be boated off to the boat ramp. Okay. And
thank you, John. Thank you, Jim.
Any other question from the commissioner? Seeing none. Channel 18, any public comment on this one?
I don't believe so, but if you were here for a public comment, now is your time to speak. Seeing none.
So, John, I'm thinking about 2 conditions. Number 1 is you need to submit, or not you, but we need a construction protocol to be prepared by the contractor and submitted 4 weeks before the pre-construction meeting with the conservation staff. And we also would inform the natural resource as far as about the access and how we're going to use that for the construction purposes. And secondly, if there is a change in terms of the engineer, I assume you are the engineer on the record for this project. If there is a change, we would need a written notifications to the conservation administrator for review and approval. Does that sound good for you?
I think that should all be fine.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve this project with those 2 conditions?
So moved. Y'all's got to say.
Anyone second?
Second.
I heard
Roll
Jeff.
call.
Abedili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Kashulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and Tangney. Aye, that's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Good luck,
Thank you very
John.
much.
The last NOI is Janet Holian, Trustee, Holian Family Trust, and Janet Holian Revocable Trust. Proposed bank restorations, bank vegetation restoration, replacement of a bank stairs, and replacement/improvement of the boardwalk at 250 Windswick Way, Austinville, as shown on Assessors Map 051, Parcel 012. John.
So me, John O'Day from Sullivan Engineering Consulting, representing the applicants. Here with us this evening is also Stephen Lee from Wilkinson Ecological. This project site is on Windswept Way on Oyster Harbors. It's overlooking Catuit Bay. We've had some past projects before you on this parcel. The existing house dates to the 1920s. The primary, I can work on bringing up my plan for you all. Really, the primary project here is just a voluntary invasives bank restoration. And I will pass this off momentarily to Stephen to maybe walk you through that a little bit further. But just as sort of an add-on to that project, there is a very kind of small set of steps down across the bank. I have the size over here. We can't really read it. I don't know. 8 feet of stairs, nothing major that we would be probably replacing during this project. And at the bottom of those existing steps, there is a boardwalk that's clearly been there a long time, just some boards sort of laying on the beach and nailed together. It's unclear whether those originally ran straight out or ran left or ran right. The bottom portion of it's definitely been washed over, but we're just kind of proposing to angle that a little bit to the right where there's the least amount of salt marsh and the most amount of beach, but basically for the most part staying within that existing footpath area. Stephen, I can show your plan for you, or if you'd prefer to pull it up for yourself. Maybe you can give a couple of quick highlights about this restoration project, and we can answer any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, John. For the record, Stephen Lee with Wilkinson Ecological Design, representing the applicant. Just briefly walk you through what we're proposing for the voluntary restoration here. It's approximately 12,000 square feet of restoration. It will incorporate the 800 square feet of mitigation into this design from SC 35858, which is demarcated with the darker green hatch there. What we saw on site was a pretty standard restoration that we'd like to perform, where we identified Asiatic bittersweet, shrub and vine honeysuckle, and privet in the existing maritime shrublands, with bittersweet overtopping much of the shrubbery and ground layer vegetation, as well as a patch of Japanese knotweed was identified on the northwest portion of the property. Excuse me. We are proposing invasive management into this existing shrubland, and restoration will consist of the best practices that were detailed in the submitted land management protocols with this NOI. Once removed, areas will be seeded with a native mix and covered with erosion control blanketing. Once we have determined invasives are sufficiently eradicated, planting on site of appropriate native woody and herbaceous plants to restore native community and enhance overall plant diversity. We will be including the edge of the restoration and mitigation will be demarcated with small boulders or any other conservation approved material that you'd like to see to demarcate the restoration area. And Wilkinson just believes the proposed native plant restoration will restore the ecological function of the coastal banks and enhance the site's capacity to support wildlife. And with that, I'm happy to field any questions.
Thank you, Steve. Before I go to the commission, John O'Day, on this Wilkinson plan is showing the demarcations. I need that demarcation note to put it on the engineering plan.
Not a problem.
Because right now it's not showing on the engineering plan, so I need the revised plan for that. John.
John, we're walking the property and you kind of show it here. There's an existing dock, pier, It looks like the way you got it drawn is like the property line goes halfway through it or something.
It's a shared pier.
I was going to say, as I walk that, it looks like there's actually a gate to that other property. It looks like the main way to get there is for this property owner. So this property owner has a right to use that?
It was designed, permitted, built, and maintained as a shared pier between those two properties.
So why do we need another set of stairs going down, or which comes out almost the same place? And why do we need that roll-out boardwalk if they can just walk down there, down to the dock, and there's stairs going down to the beach? Why do we need that extra?
Well, they're there. And you know, as you said, this is there. It's right. This pier is right on the property line. There's gates there. This is the access that's historically been there to the beach. I don't think it's very much. Just it is what it is.
Okay, so this rollout thingamajiggy, is that going to be pulled up in the winter months?
We're above the marsh or the rack lines or anything. I don't feel that it would need to be, where those boards that are there have been probably laying on the ground for 50 years. If the commission felt strongly about it, but I don't think it's.
Well, yeah, my perception was, and I watched it today, those boards really are. I mean, they're kind of all rotted and pulled up and useless. And, you know, I certainly agree with you. I just think, you know, you've extended it a little bit beyond what's visibly there right now. So I'm saying, okay, you put the roll out, let's pick it up in the wintertime at least, and let that area get some regrowth in it. I think would be a good idea. But I'm still kind of hung up by, you know, and it is pre-existing. It's there. So my argument's pretty weak to say, why do we have to have two ways to get down to the beach if they already have a legal way to walk, you know, 2 feet away and walk down the pier? But what you say is there, and the mitigation plan is quite well done. So
right,
it's kind of where I am.
Thank you for mentioning.
I would think that rollout should be pulled up.
Thank you for mentioning that, John. While I'm looking at this plan, the one that on the screen right now from Wilkinson's plan, your roll-out boardwalk is slightly different orientation than your engineering plan.
Yes.
That's correct. So they have the existing boards, and as I said, I kind of you can, if I could zoom really in.
So which orientation that you're
this is mine is the proposed. Their plan is meant to solely be about the vegetation work.
Okay. I just want to make sure, you know, which is the correct orientations. So any other question from the commissioner?
Angela had it. Oh.
Yeah, I just was going to say the same thing you did, John, and I didn't want to be wordy. I was trying to make sure that mitigation planting is using some of the lawn. It's not replacing just at the top of the bank where they already look like they had no lawn, because they have plenty of lawn there. So that seems to be fine. The Wilkinson plan is fine. It just didn't line up. But now they're going to put on the demarcation for this mitigation area, and you're not touching that second little dock that's shared, correct? That just, we all observed it, but nothing's happening.
Nothing to do with that.
Okay, then I'm fine. I thank you for bringing it up, John. Those are the things I had questions about too, but I'm okay with it now.
Thank you, Angela. Any question from Jeff or Rob?
No.
No? Channel 18, any public comment on this one? Dave, Channel 18?
I don't believe so, but if you're here for public comment, now is your time to speak. Seeing none.
So, John, I'm thinking about the following. One, we talk about the demarcation line on the engineering plan, so we need a revised plan to showing that. And then we also need the end report for 3 years. And for the rolling boardwalk, Can we remove that during the winter time?
I think that we could certainly roll it back.
That's all. So
it'd be nice to not have to lug it all the way up to the house, but I think if we rolled it up and left it at the bottom of the stairs, it would.
Yeah.
Would that be acceptable?
Yeah, that would be fine with me, Tom.
Yep. So could I have a motion to approve this project with those conditions?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abadili.
Aye.
DeMello.
Aye.
Kashulik.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you
very much,
Good luck,
everybody.
John and Steve.
Thank you.
We have one continuance. It's Jeffrey and Daniel Hamill family 2018 revocable trust. Demolitions of an existing sunroom, second-story deck, landing and recessed exterior rinse stations, and the construction of a new 2 stories, 3-season room, along with the installation of a freestanding at-grade rinse stations and approval of an existing unpermitted fire pit at 71 Sunset Lane, Barnstable, as shown on the Assessors Map 301, parcel 024. This is a continuance from November the 4th. The quorum is everyone.
I don't think I'm on.
No, you're not, right?
Angela, I'm not on that, correct? I don't think I was there November 4th.
Yeah, you're not.
Sorry, I was muted. Correct.
So
okay, I am not on that quorum. I cannot vote on it. I did not mull in on it.
Okay. Thank
so
you.
So you have enough to vote?
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
We have all 4 of us.
So, Bryden?
Bryony, yep.
Bryony, sorry.
No problem. Bryony Angus with Ty and Bond here on behalf of the applicant. So at the first hearing for the project, we had requested on behalf of the applicant that the commission find that this was a mitigation constrained site. That was not granted. So we have since prepared and submitted a mitigation planting plan that I will just quickly throw up on the screen here. And just to remind the commission, the project is demolition of an existing 3-season porch and replacement fully in kind with a 4-season structure in the exact same footprint. And then on the other side of the house, there is a proposed rinse station. So the mitigation that was required, oh, and apologies, there's also an existing fire pit that was previously unpermitted that we need to mitigate. So this table shows the required ratios for hardscape in both the 0 to 50 and 50 to 100 foot, and shows the planting areas provided. So we are meeting the required ratios. The planting strip, we went out and did some additional site investigations. There is an area between the top of bank, which is vegetated with some both native and invasives vegetation, but there is a strip of lawn that will be removed. Plus there was an area that either the applicant or the previous homeowner had formally landscaped in a way that did not fit in with the commission's buffer zone policy. So all of that is getting removed, as well as a strip of lawn, and it will be planted with a mix of Carolina rose, native beach grass, and then a native ground cover to achieve the required ratio. So that is shown here. And one thing I did just want to mention, just with respect to our math, and this is tiny little details, but there is a landing right here outside of the 3-season porch that is getting removed that was not accounted for in our math. So there's actually a greater reduction of hardscape in the 0 to 50. So the math works more in the applicant's favor. So that is what is proposed. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll stop sharing so I can see faces.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The planting plan is dated November the 7th, and we have received 4 or 5 emails regarding to these applications as far as the abutter goes. The one thing I just want to mention is, when that application coming in, we are only checking with the town assessor's database informations and accept that applications. We are not responsible and checking with the land court information, then compare all these different informations. And even if we approve this project, the applicant is still required to follow through with any other state requirement or regulations for that. We are only approving these projects only under the jurisdiction of the state's Wetland Protection Act and the local wetland protection ordinances and regulations only. So with that, Angela.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to comment on the project revision and supplemental information because we specifically spoke to you about the 150 square foot needed for mitigation. And we specifically spoke about the narrowest piece of land that you have put in this planning. So and I've walked this both from water side and the land side. I'm very pleased with the plan that you came back with. So I wanted to thank you for that and for picking that part up that we could put right where that extra lawn is and on the other side of the fire pit in order to get this through. So that's all I wanted to comment on was what you actually sent and gave us for the revision and supplementary information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Rob, Jeff, do you have any comment?
I'm good.
You good?
No, I like the plate she picked, so that's fine.
Okay. Channel 18, any public comment on this one? Dave?
Yeah, I believe there was one person here for this item, but if
I think that was me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Go ahead.
No. I've already presented.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If there's anybody else here for public comment, now is your time to speak. Seeing none.
Thank you, Dave. Could I have a motion to approve this project with the planting plan date November the 7th, and we will need a annual report for 3 years.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Tangney, aye. Lee?
Aye.
Koshulik?
Aye.
DeMello?
Aye.
That's unanimous, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Can I just add to the chair, the other email correspondence that was received on the project, is that something I can get through Kim or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We have 3 EC certificate of compliance. The first one is Brendan J. Breisel, SE3-6015. The second one is AAR Legacy LLC, SE3-5825. The third is Golden and James Stanley, SE3-6152. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Abedili?
Aye.
DeMello?
Aye.
Koshulik?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's unanimous.
We have 2 sets of minutes, October the 28th and November the 4th.
Sorry, I'd unmute. I make a motion to accept the minutes for October the 28th and November the 4th.
Anyone second?
Second.
Roll call.
Abedili?
Dane, since I was unavailable for those meetings.
Further. Thank you. DeMello?
Aye.
Just for both. Koshulik?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
And Tangney, aye. That's 4 ayes. Minutes are accepted.
Our next hearing is at 6:30 on November the 25th. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
Abedili,
Aye.
DeMello,
Aye.
Kashulik,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
and Tangney. That's unanimous, Mr. Chair. It's 5:04.
Thank you.